Welcome back, bio champions. Today we are diving into cellular respiration. No, it isn't just breathing faster when you run, though it's related. This process takes the food you eat and turns it into the energy your body actually uses. We will trace the journey from glucose all the way through mitochondria, ATP production, and beyond. And yes, tiny power plants inside your cells are involved. So let's power up and get started. Why should we care about cellular respiration? Because it powers everything you do, even thinking this very sentence. Your muscles, your nerves, your ability to sip iced tea in class, all tied to ATP production. Every time you eat, your cells are gearing up for this process. Without effective respiration, you'd basically be a glazed donut sitting on a couch. So, yes, this topic is super important. And yes, it's going to help you crush your exam prep. Here's the overall reaction for aerobic cellular respiration. Glucose plus oxygen yields carbon dioxide, water, and about 30 to 32 molecules of ATP. That's like converting your lunch into the energy equivalent of 30 to 32 pieces of candy. Maybe not actual candy, but you get the idea. This equation helps you see the input, outputs, and the payoff in one swoop. Remember it. It's the baseline for everything else we will discuss. The first stop on our cellular respiration tour is glycolysis, which happens in the cytoplasm, yes, just outside the mitochondrion, just chilling in the cell fluid. One glucose molecule enters, gets split into two pyruvate molecules. Along the way, you also net two ATP and two NADH, your cell's early energy recruits. Think of it as the warm up before the big energy game inside the mitochondria. Even though it's small, glycolysis is indispensable. Without it, the rest of the chain can't even start singing. Next up, pyruvate oxidation, also called the link reaction. The pyruvate molecules made in glycolysis enter the mitochondria, where each is converted into acetyl coenzyme A, releasing carbon dioxide and making NADH. This is the handoff phase, like passing the baton to the main race cars inside the mitochondria. Acetyl CoA is then the actual fuel for the Krebs cycle. Without this step, the big ATP yield later simply wouldn't happen. Now we're in the Krebs cycle, inside the mitochondrial matrix, where acetyl coenzyme A enters a series of reactions. Carbon atoms get released as CO2, and energy is harvested in the form of ATP, NADH, and FADH2. The cycle is regenerative. It ends by reforming oxaloacetate, so the cycle can keep turning. Think of it as the cell's energy carnival ride, round and round, always producing more outputs. It's slower than glycolysis, but a major part of the ATP harvest. This is where the big energy payoff happens. The electron transport chain, or ETC, and chemiosmosis happen in the inner mitochondrial membrane. NADH and FADH2 drop off electrons. The electrons travel through protein complexes, pumping protons to create a gradient. Then ATP synthase lets protons flow back, driving ATP production. About 26 to 28 ATP from this stage alone. It's like your cell's fossil fuel power plant, but green energy because it uses glucose. Without oxygen acting as the final electron acceptor, this chain backs up and things get inefficient fast. So how much ATP do we actually get? In most eukaryotic cells, about 30 to 32 ATP molecules per glucose after aerobic respiration. That represents roughly 34% efficiency, far better than many car engines. Yes, your mitochondria are more efficient than your car. The rest of the energy is lost as heat, good for warming you up on cold mornings. The key takeaway: cellular respiration isn't 100% perfect, but in a biological world, it works very well. Sometimes oxygen is scarce, like when you sprint to catch the bus. Then cells switch to anaerobic respiration or fermentation. Yeast go ethanol plus CO2. Hello, bread rising and alcohol, while your muscles produce lactic acid. Hello, sore legs. Both yield only 2 ATP per glucose, a lot less than aerobic. Fermentation is like the emergency generator. Not ideal, but useful when you're out of fuel. Now, let's get practical. What affects how cellular respiration works? First, if you don't have glucose or oxygen, you're limited. Then, if your mitochondria are damaged or if you have toxins like cyanide, you're in big trouble. Other factors. Exercise increases demand. Temperature and pH can change enzyme activity. So, if your cell was a car, these are the things that decide whether it's a racing machine or a sputtering clunker. Let's be real. This topic can trip students up. Common mistakes include mixing up glycolysis versus Krebs versus the ETC or electron transport chain, forgetting where things happen, cytoplasm versus mitochondrial matrix versus inner membrane, miscounting ATP yields, or forgetting the byproducts like carbon dioxide and H2O. Tip: always ask yourself where and what's happening when working through a question. And remember, if you just remember the big picture and the key steps, you'll almost always ace the question. All right, biology buddies, to wrap up, we've seen how glucose and oxygen get converted to CO2, H2O, and ATP via four major stages. We compared aerobic, about 30 to 32 ATP, versus anaerobic, about 2 ATP, and saw what factors affect the process. If you take away one thing, energy production is smart, efficient, and essential for life. If this helped you, please like, comment, and subscribe. Your mitochondria will thank you later. See you next time for more AP biology adventures. That's it for now. Don't forget to subscribe and check out Dr. B's tutorials on Amazon for full AP and IB study guides. See the first link in the comments below. For more tutorials and test prep videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Dr. B's Tutorials.